Alright, so I'm going to be trying to make something a little bit slower. So I went down to 110. I changed the key to G sharp. So let's see what we can make. I've also got a choir sound. Looking for something dark and somber. Or epic. That's kind of epic. That works. I don't like that last little bit. I don't. Ooh, okay. Here, we could do both. Okay, let's make that a little bit later. By the way, one thing that I'm using a lot here are notes that are right on top of each other, which played at the same time don't always sound great. Sometimes they can, but not always. But if you play them like back to back like this, it creates a lot of tension, and it tends to sound pretty dark, and pretty, well, dark. And you get these types of Now, normally I copy and paste for the second half, and then I'll change a little something. Like I'll take, some of these notes and I'll move them up like this, and let's just try that and see what happens. So this is kind of high. It kind of I like it. I kind of like it though. If it's like really soft. So let's make it softer so you can just kind of barely hear it, and then make this a little bit louder. So it kind of comes through. It's a little bit to make it even more different, I'm going to add some little passing notes. Well, I'll try. We'll see if it works. That's not what I had in mind, but that works too. Hang on. Maybe it's too quick. That is almost what I had. I almost want to make this longer. Ideas. And then maybe, actually, I could just do the same thing I just did, but flipped. Like. Wait, maybe not. Hang on. Oh, wait, hang on. that I do at the same time. Let's see. What if I put it right below where that one is, and then oh, that's where it already is. It's already on A sharp. Save my patterns in a sampler, and the reason why is because later on when I split everything, I'll still be able to see the old patterns that I was using, and it just makes it easier for me to place like new notes on things, for new melodies and or bass lines and that sort of thing. It's easier to do that if you see the old notes. I'm sure there's another way of doing it. If you have a different way of doing it and it's more efficient, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I like to save the patterns. That way I can still see them underneath after I've deleted this. And why would I want to delete this? Well, if I delete this right now, well, I haven't consolidated anything, so I've just deleted everything basically. But the reason why you might want to delete that and consolidate is because it's easier on your computer. So if I were to do this and consolidate this into a waveform, instead of it having to like use the synthesizer, it just like has the audio now, and it's easier on your computer. I'm not going to do that quite yet though. Once I start creating more instruments and my computer starts having a little bit more load on it, I'll start deleting things. But until then, I'm going to leave it for now. Okay, so let's see what else we can add to this. this almost is a pad in a way. Um, so I almost want something because this doesn't have like a hard like impact to it sound. You know, it's like a soft sound. And so I'm hearing like a bell or something that like has a little bit of impact to like stick out every now and again to this. So let me try to find a bell, and I'm using all default plugins on this video. So here's Citrus. I want something with some impact. Music box. Forgive me for the sniffling, and I do have some allergies going on. This is what I mean by using the old notes. Like I'm just using the notes that I've already placed down, and that makes my life a lot easier. So I basically just put the notes on the exact same notes for this music box instrument. And these notes are like little passing notes, and I essentially just put them on the exact same notes. See how this is on G sharp and this is on G sharp? That's where I put it. This is on G sharp and this is on E5. Well, I had two notes that were on G sharp and E, so that's why those are there. And I did the exact same thing for all of them. This may be a little different. Let me make sure it's, yeah, okay, so why don't we move that up, since on this side we're moving things up anyway. before I consolidate it. That lets me take out the super high highs. Like I like to cut off the super high highs, and that gives me a little bit more space for my hi-hats later. That way I don't have to make my hi-hats really loud. You can hear them even if they're relatively quiet. And I cut off everything below about 50 hertz because you can't really hear much lower than that anyway. So it also makes room for the bass. Okay, so this one's separated, and then this one is reverb. And the reason why I do that is to give them, again, more space for each other. So it's like the separation versus mono. It's like this one's more mono than this one, so they're separated. It's easier to distinctly hear them separately by doing that. And you get a little bit of the same effect when you put when you have one thing that has reverb on it and one that doesn't. It kind of, in a way, it almost separates them in a space, in a physical space that you're listening to. Consolidate. So here's my choir. This one had reverb on it. Okay, and then I have my music box. which I think I'm actually going to add a little something to. I just had this idea. I can't hear this for some reason. This is on the sampler. That's why. Doi. I wasn't even on the right instrument. Wow. That would explain why things didn't like make sense as I was moving things. Whatever. Okay, let's fix the correct thing now. Let's take some of these bass notes, or not the bass notes, the distinct notes. Where's that one? There it is. So basically the middle notes. Okay, I want to hear what that sounds like with this. Music box. And this one was separated. And the reason why I label that separation versus reverb is because sometimes when I have a track, I'll have a whole bunch of different instruments and sounds playing at once. And I try not to have a bunch of different sounds that are all separated playing at the same time, because then there was no point in separating them in the first place, because now they're clashing again. Why did you separate? Why didn't you just leave everything mono if everything's just going to play on top of each other, you know? And so that's kind of the reason why I label things, because later on I'll forget. Excuse me. I'll forget, and yeah, I'll end up putting a bunch of sounds on top of each other that don't belong on top of each other. So let's look and see. Okay, so I'm gonna resave this pattern and this one. I don't remember if I actually changed it or oh, I did a little bit. Okay, and then now I can delete these. And what this is gonna do is I'm gonna save some computer power. change this one. Or just delete it because it doesn't sound great. Okay, let's try one of the other ones. Let's try the short zay. Okay. And make sure it doesn't keep playing. Because that's my root note for like all of these. So like even if you look at my melody, the top line is all G sharp, the bottom line is all G sharp, like everything is G. So if I just play an 808 on G sharp, it's gonna sound good because that's that's like the main part of this particular melody. So G sharp, it's gonna sound good. Okay, high, it's gonna sound good. Low, it's gonna sound good. Well, I mean, that'll depend on the 808, but it's gonna sound good. If I put it somewhere else, it may sound good. It just kind of depends on where I put it. So I'm gonna try it on this note, which is I have to cheat a little bit. D sharp. It sounds okay, but it doesn't. It just sounds a little off, right? So put it on the root note. Okay, let's change back to our velocity. And then if we want, we can add some variation to this. I'm actually going to move. I thought this was further out. Let me move this. Okay, and then we can add some variation on some of these. Let's just try moving. Ooh, wait, hang on. This side is mostly the same. The only differences I made were moving things up an octave, basically. So the baseline pattern is going to be essentially the same thing. I can add some different variation in here just to make things different if I wanted to, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes it's good to have something that sounds kind of the same repeating throughout because it gives you something to hold on to. Now, you don't want everything to just repeat and be the same throughout, but having a few things that do that is okay, in my opinion, anyway. Originally I placed this here because the note was already there. I didn't like the way it sounded. It actually sounds okay, like on its own. Like if you just play it on its own right here, like it sounds fine. But if you play it in context, like it kind of works. I guess it works. Let me play it again. I didn't like it at first, but maybe I'll like it now. I like it now. Never mind. I lied. took away this note and this note and made those the first, like downbeat, whatever. So this. Played them both at the same time. Like you can't hear the Z when you do that. So it's almost like beefing up the rest of the sound in a way. Forgive me if that's a terrible explanation or if it's blatantly wrong. That's just kind of how my limited knowledge, understanding of explaining how it works, feel free to let me know in the comments. But the important part about it is it makes it louder, or it can make it louder, depending on how the sound is. Another thing I like to do is sidechain my clap to the 808, which sounds silly. Like, why would you ever do that? But the reason why is so that my clap or snare punches through and it doesn't have to be super loud. So we do that. It also tends not to affect the 808 that much because I never have them hitting at the same time. You see how it's hitting late in the 808 anyway? So that part of the 808 is already quiet. So why not make it quieter to make it easier for the clap? You know what I mean? Like, there could be something very wrong with what I'm doing here. And I'm sure somebody in the comments will let me know. But it makes sense to me. And it really makes a difference on that longer 808. See how it was still going and it had to cut off that part of it? Just to make my clap a little bit easier to hear without it being too loud. What else can we add to these hi-hats? I have a tendency of using the same hi-hat or hi-hats over and over again. Let me use a different one this time. I haven't used this hi-hat. If I like it lower like this or higher. I'll keep it low for now. I would say Alt-U works to chop your notes, but it's not working for some reason, and sometimes it just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. I can Control U. And it will split like that, but I don't. It takes longer doing it this way. Normally Alt-U will just chop it up. I want it to be faster. notes. I like to go back and forth. It gives it a cool effect. And we're going to copy and paste that so often. I think I can also do this. There we go. Okay, so second one or third one, I guess, after the roll. Now we can copy and paste. My hi-hats are almost all high-end, obviously. So any low-end that's in there shouldn't be there. So just out of habit, I kind of roll off the low ends. Although in this case, it's probably not necessary because basically everything's high. Same thing I did with the clap, except I'm not going to push it as much because, as you can see, some of these are hitting softer and not as loudly, and I want that to still be the case. Like, I don't want to get rid of the fact that I have different hi-hats hitting at different velocities, you know. At least not too much. So I'm going to push it a little bit, change the attack and sustain, push it a little bit, just make it a little bit louder, and that's it. Okay, just to make it a little bit easier to hit. Too many EQs here, honestly, but I mostly use this first one. And later on, what I'm going to do to make room for the 808 and the clap is I'm going to start ducking certain frequencies at certain times. So, like, as the 808 hits, I'm going to duck. I'll probably make this bigger, and I'll be ducking this so that as the 808 hits, the melody loses some of its low end. And I'll probably do the same thing with some of the medium for the clap. So every time the clap comes in, this will duck a little bit. I'll probably make it like something like this, depending on where the clap is. So let's start with that. Actually, I'll probably do that some other time. I'll keep working on the melody for now. Let's see, what am I missing? This crash. Gong. It's like a gong crash. Let's see how it sounds. Not quite. I like that. Let's do top and bottom. frequencies that, well, mostly just harsh frequencies, as well as the low end, like I mentioned. Say one hitting at a given time. So like the gong only hits right there, never hits anywhere else. So I'm not gonna pan that one. If it was lower, I may pan it just to get it out of the way of the bass. Actually, I'm gonna go with that. Just pan the low one. I guess I'll pan them both. I lied. I'm a liar. So basically at the beginning I'm spreading things out, except for the 808, and I'll probably, I haven't added a kick yet. I'll do that. I don't always have to have a kick, but I usually like adding a kick, just because it gives it some more punch. First one. Crap. It's hard to tell, so let me just play the 808 and the kick. This sounds louder. It's really hard for me to tell though. Normally I can tell a little bit easier, but having the polarity like this is louder. Duh. Okay, so let me actually add my kicks. Kick. I'm not adding it on every 808 hit, just like some of the bigger ones. Some of the ones where like it sounds like having like a really impactful punch there with, I don't know, it just, I guess I'm placing notes by ear at this point, through experience. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but it sounds decent, so. variation. I like to add variation by using like halftime stuff. So I'll take all this and I'll consolidate it and halftime it, and that could be another section on its own, you know. But that's essentially the beat. So I hope you enjoy it. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, let me know in the comments below.